Assalamu alaikum.
वालेकुम सलाम सर।
वालेकुम अस्सलाम सर जी ठीक ठाक आप सुनाएं।
So today we have the second lecture, or last time we are talking about what is meant by the chassis ground and the voltage. Today we see what is Ohm's law. Ohm's law actually establishes the relation between current, voltage and resistance. और लास्ट टाइम हमने करंट की भी बात कर ली थी, वोल्टेज पे भी बात की थी और रेजिस्टेंस पे भी बात की थी। तो व्हाट इज द ओम्स लॉ? Ohm's law states that the current flowing through any conductor or any wire will be directly proportional to the applied voltage and inversely proportional to the resistance. So we can write the expression that the current will be equal to voltage over resistance. So from this expression, what you see, from this expression, we see that if we know any two quantities are variables, we can find the other. Here, in this expression, there are the three variables, are the quantities, are the parameters, current, voltage, and resistance. So from here, we can write voltage where that will be equal to the current into the resistance. And this is called what? This is known as the Ohm's law. So we can write the formula that V is equal to IR. So from here, V represent the voltage, I represent the current, and R represent the resistance, where the unit of the voltage is volt, the current is measured in amperes, and the resistance is measured in ohm. Similarly, you can write I is equal to V by R and R is equal to V by I. So here we have a Ohm's law triangle जो last time हमने आपको बताई थी कि Ohm law triangles की मदद से आप किस तरह different quantities जो हैं उनको आप find out करते हो. So this is the Ohm's law triangle that you can measure voltage by taking the product of I and R, whereas the current is measured as the ratio of V by R and the resistance is measured as the voltage by current. Which means in the first कि अगर आपकी कोई भी एक चीज constant है तो you can measure the other one. So here let me consider the current, that is the ratio of V by R. If the resistance is constant, then what you see here, if the resistance is constant, we see here, if the applied voltage is increased, the current will also increase. और अगर आपका applied voltage जो है वो decrease कर रहा है, तो उस सूरत में आपकी current जो है वो भी decrease करती है. This is situation when the R is constant. And similarly, if the voltage is constant, then what you see here, if the resistance is increased, the current will decrease. And if the resistance is decreased, the current will increase. So these are the relations you must know. What is the graphical representation? ये भी last time हमने बात की थी. The graphical representation mean the relation between current and voltage, and this relation between current and voltage is also called IV characteristics कहलाती हैं. IV characteristic means the graphical relation between current and voltage. And we see earlier, if the applied voltage is increased, the corresponding current also increases. आपका करंट जो है वो भी इंक्रीज करेगा. इट मीन कि देयर इज अ डायरेक्ट प्रोपोर्शनैलिटी between current and voltage. So if you draw the graph between voltage and current, so you see that as the voltage is increased, the corresponding current is also increased. So we get what? We get a linear behavior. What is meant by the linear behavior? By linear behavior mean the graph will be a straight line. तो उस सूरत में this is a graphical representation. And from here last time मैंने आपको बताया था okay, from this graph, what we determine, from this graph, we determine the third parameter. Third parameter is what? Third parameter is the resistance. So from this, we can determine the resistance. And how you can determine the resistance? We can determine the resistance by taking the slope of this graph. And what is meant by the slope? The slope means the variation along y-axis to the variation along x-axis. So we know that from here we can write 1 over r is equal to I over v. So we have the linear and non-linear behavior. This is a linear behavior. There's a graph between two quantities is a straight line. We have the linear. So in this case, we define a resistance which is known as the linear resistance. और अगर आपके पास ग्राफ जो है वो स्ट्रेट लाइन नहीं है तो then what you have this is the resistance that is known as the non-linear resistance. So for the non-linear resistance mean the graph will be not straight line like this. This is the graph between voltage and current. So this is what? This is non-linear. So last time हमने यहाँ तक चीजों को देख लिया था. Any question you have? Hello.
No, sir. Thanks.
All right. So आज हम आगे बात करेंगे. ये लास्ट टाइम मैंने शायद आपको एक दो एग्जांपल्स भी देखी थी. मतलब from this example you have to measure the current. अगर आपको resistance provide कर दी जाए, here in this example we see that if the resistance is kept constant and the voltage is increased, or you know that if the resistance is kept constant, so by increasing the voltage, the current will also increase. So in the first case, the voltage is 5 volt, whereas in the second case, the voltage is 20 volts. So you can see what is how the current increases. Next, we have use the Ohm's law to calculate the voltage across 100 ohm if the current is known. So we have the second formula that V is equal to IR. So in this way, you can determine the voltage. Similarly, how you can determine the resistance? For this purpose, we use the third formula. So it means अगर आपके पास voltage जो है वो 12.6 volt है and that is applied across our resistance, we have to determine what is the resistance अगर उसमें से इतना current जो है वो flow करे. So these are a simple calculation. I hope that you can easily use. So what is the importance of the Ohm's law? The importance of the Ohm's law that this law is used to analyze a circuit. What is meant by the analyze? Analyze mean by using this one, you can determine if the voltage and resistance are known, then you can determine the current. If the resistance is unknown, you can determine the current and voltage are known and you can determine this one. So here is the, let me consider, here is calculate the current in the milliampere for the following circuit. You have to determine the current. In this circuit, the voltage and resistance both are known. So you have to determine current. So you know that the current is defined as the ratio of voltage over current resistance. So I is equal to V by R. So V is known, R is also known, so you can determine the voltage. Then the second one, how much voltage is required to produce 5 ampere of resist current? आपने ये बताना है कि वोल्टेज कितनी आपको चाहिए कि आपका 5 एम्पियर करंट जो है इस सर्किट में फ्लो करे. Here the resistance is 100 ohm and the current is 5 ampere. So you know that formula is the V is equal to IR. So you can find. Third, how much voltage measured across the resistor as following shown in the figure. आपने ये बतानी कि रेजिस्टेंस के अक्रॉस कितनी वोल्टेज होगी. अगर करंट जो है वो 5 एम्पियर का पास करे तो अगेन यू नो. अब देखें रेजिस्टेंस एंड बैटरी बोथ आर कनेक्टेड इन पैरेलल. तो इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि इस रेजिस्टेंस के अक्रॉस आपका जो पोटेंशियल ड्रॉप होगा वो वही होगा जो बैटरी का वोल्टेज होगा. So you can measure this voltage. It means that let us say the battery is 5 volt, then the voltage across the resistance is also 5 volts. So you can also find this one. Next, we know we have another situation. Okay, what is meant by the cell? Cell क्या होते हैं? Cells are actually the appliances which are used to generate the electricity. And how this electricity is generated? This electricity is generated by converting one type of energy to other. Here in cells, the chemical energy जो है या energy जो है वो convert होती है into the electrical energy में. और इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि किसी भी सेल के अंदर we have two terminals. One of the terminal is known as the anode and other terminal is known as the cathode. Anode जो है that is also known as the positive terminal of the cell, and the cathode is the negative terminal of the cell. Or you know that by anode mean the terminal from where the current flow in from out, that is provide the incoming channels. जबकि कैथोड में करंट जो है वो एंटर करता है. ठीक है. So depending upon which type of the current you are considering, either you are considering the cell जो है they generate the electric currents, and electric currents flow from the negative to the positive terminal of the battery. So there are how these two cells can be connected. There are two ways to connect the cells. We can connect these cells either parallelly or serially. What is meant by the serial connection and the parallel connection? By serial connection mean if the cells are joined end to end, so same current flow through the each cell. What is the purpose to connect the cells in serial? अगर आप वोल्टेज को इंक्रीज करना चाहते हो और करंट को कांस्टेंट रखना चाहते हो तो उस सूरत में सेल्स को आप सीरियली ज्वाइन करेंगे. What is meant by the serial connection? By serial connection mean the anode of the one cell is joined with the cathode of the other cell. And like this is a serial connection. Here we have the three cells of 2 volt each. So the bigger line represent the positive terminal and the small line represent the negative terminal. The bigger line, which is positive, is also known as the anode, and the smaller line, which is the cathode. So from here, what you see? From here we see that if the anode of one cell is connected with the cathode of the other. So this is a situation. आमतौर पे जब आप एक कोई टॉर्च लाइट यूज करते हो तो उसमें जो सेल्स आप प्लेस करोगे दैट विल बी इन द सीरियल मैनर में होंगे और अभी मैंने आपको बताया कि इसका पर्पस क्या है. इसका पर्पस ये है कि ताकि आप वोल्टेज जो इससे हायर वोल्टेज जो है वो ऑब्टेन कर सकें. मसलन फ्रॉम हियर व्हाट यू सी, from here we see that if we have the three cells of the 2 volt, then the total voltage of the cells will be equal to the 6 volt. Lekin as all the three cells are connected in series, so the current remain same one. So this voltage is also represented as the EMF, electromotive force भी हम इसको बोलते हैं. और आप ये भी जानते हैं कि इलेक्ट्रोमोटिव फोर्स और वोल्टेज में डिफरेंस. वन इज द phenomena that is occurring inside the cell and the other phenomena that is occurring outside the cell. We hear the EMF is the phenomena that is occurring inside the cell, whereas the voltage is the phenomena that is occurring outside the cell. Now each cell have some resistance. So if the cells are connected in series, then the total resistance of the all the three cells will be equal to the sum of the resistances. So it means in the case when the cells are connected in series, we see two things. Number one, the voltage increases and the resistance also increases. It means in this situation, the current will decrease. So this is a situation, the cells are connected in series. Now, here is a little problem we have. अगर आपकी batteries जो हैं, that are connected in such a way. In this figure, what you see, in this figure, we see that the cathodes are connected with each other. Let me consider we have the three batteries of voltages 1.5. So for the first battery, we see what? For the first battery, we see that the positive is connected with the positive of the other battery. And the second cell, the negative is connected with the negative of other battery. Here, if we consider the voltage sources VS1 and VS3, so what you see here, we see here the VS1 and VS3, the negative is connected to the positive. So इसका मतलब ये हुआ now the question, is there any current flow through the circuit? क्या आपका कोई करंट फ्लो सर्किट में फ्लो करेगा? तो आंसर सिंपल वन, no current will flow in the circuit. The reason is this one, the current flow only in one situation, that when the cathode of one cell is connected with the anode of the other one, so no current will be flow. So what will be the resultant voltage in this situation? इस वक्त में आपकी रिजल्टेंट वोल्टेज जो है वो क्या होगी? जाहिर है रिजल्टेंट वोल्टेज जो है वो आप डिटरमिन कर सकते हो कि कितने सेल्स हैं, उनकी रिजल्टेंट वोल्टेज क्या है. मसलन रिमेंबर दिस वन कि फर्ज करें कि आपके पास एक सर्किट है, उसमें दो सेल्स लगे हुए हैं और दे आर कनेक्टेड in this manner, the cathode of one is connected with the cathode of the other. So then the current will flow only that cell which have the higher potential. जिसका potential जो है वो higher होगा, उसकी वजह से आपका होगा. Now what is meant by the cells in parallel connection? By parallel connection mean if the anode of all cells are connected with each other and the cathode of all cells are connected with each other. That is known as what? That is known as the parallel connection, like this. Here we have a parallel connections, mean all the anodes are connected, whereas all the cathodes are connected. So from here, we see that when the cells are connected in parallel, then what happens? When the cells are connected in parallel, then number one, the current will be different. It means if you want to increase the current, तो करंट जो है वो आपके डिफरेंट होंगे लेकिन वोल्टेज सेम होगी. और व्हाट अबाउट द रेजिस्टेंस? जब भी सेल्स को आप पैरेलल में लगाओगे तो रेजिस्टेंस जो है वो आपकी डिक्रीज कर जाएगी, क्योंकि इन सीरीज में आपने पढ़ा होगा कि रेजिस्टेंसेस जो हैं दे आर रेसिप्रोकल ऑफ द इंडिविजुअल रेजिस्टेंसेस होती हैं. सो दिस इज द सिचुएशन. So if the EMF is identical, then the EMF of the battery combined by n numbers of cells connected in parallel is equal to the EMF of the E cell. The resultant, the internal resistance of the combination is this one. You can write 1 over R1 plus 1 over R2 plus 1 over R3 in tमाम resistances के sum का जो reciprocal होगा, that is equal to the internal resistance. So हाँ बच्चों, any question about this topic? Means cells, Ohm's law, chases, this is and ground. Hello.
No, sir.
All right. तो
All right.
अगर कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो दरमियान में मुझसे ना पूछ लिया करें, ये ना को आप बैठे ही रह जाएं और क्वेश्चन आप पूछे ही ना.
सर ये -1 का क्या मतलब है इसमें, जो 1 ओवर R1 इसके ऊपर लगा हुआ है?
ये क्योंकि आप आगे देखो, इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि 1 ओवर R टोटल रेजिस्टेंस का रेसिप्रोकल है. रेसिप्रोकल का मतलब पता है ना कि किसी चीज को जब आप डिवाइड करके ऊपर लाते हो, पावर जो है वो -1 हो जाती है.
यस सर.
1 ओवर 10 को आप क्या लिखते हो? 1 ओवर 10 को आप लिखते हो 10 रेज टू पावर -1.
यस सर.
तो ये इसका मतलब होगा.
थैंक यू सर.
एक और बात, ये मीटिंग आपकी रहेगी 8:40 पर, लेकिन आपने 2 मिनट पहले आपने इस मीटिंग से आउट होके अगली मीटिंग जो है उसको आपने ज्वाइन कर लेना है.
यस सर.
अगली मीटिंग 8:40 पे जो है वो आपकी स्टार्ट करेगी.
Yes, sir.
सर जैसे इस ग्राउंड में जो हम लोग ने पढ़ा है कि वो प्लास्टिक सर्किट बोर्ड होता है, तो फिर वो करंट को फ्लो के लिए कैसे पाथ प्रोवाइड करता है?
करंट जो है वो फ्लो करेगा बैटरी टू द ग्राउंड. जाहिर है करंट के लिए आपको क्या चाहिए? करंट के लिए आपको एक वोल्टेज सोर्स जो है वो मस्ट चाहिए. अब जिस तरह सेल में हम बात करते हैं कि सेल के अंदर आपके पास क्या होता है? सेल के अंदर आपके पास एनोड और कैथोड है, और कैथोड जो है वो ऑलवेज उसको हम रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं द ग्राउंड, या उसका जो All right. So now we have see the other one. Haji, the second topic of this course is the resistive circuits. What is meant by the resistive circuits? By resistive circuits mean the circuits in which the resistances are connected either in series or parallel. यकीनन आप लोगों ने मैट्रिक में भी रेजिस्टेंसेस को देखा होगा कि अगर रेजिस्टेंसेस को सीरीज या पैरेलल में लगाया जाए तो हाउ यू कैन एनालाइज द सर्किट. सिमिलरली आपने अपने एफएससी में भी इन चीजों को स्टडी किया होगा. तो रेजिस्टिव सर्किट्स मीन when the circuits are connected in series or parallel. इसी तरह के we also have the another two circuits that are called the capacitor circuits, capacitive circuits, and inductive circuits. Capacitive circuits mean a circuit in which the capacitors are connected in series or parallel, and inductive is also represent when the inductors or the coils are connected in series and parallel. So here first we see what is the resistive circuits, और फिर हम देखेंगे कि resistive circuits में आपका ओम लॉ किस तरह अप्लाई करता है. And what is the Ohm's law? The Ohm's law is equal to the V is equal to IR. कि अगर आपके पास एक resistive circuit है तो उसमें आप ओम लॉ को किस तरह अप्लाई कराएंगे. It means कि how you will determine the current and voltage also. कि करंट कैसे डिटरमिन किया जाएगा और वोल्टेजेस जो है वो कैसे निकाली जाएंगी. ठीक है. So first we have the series circuits. What is meant by series circuits? By series circuit in which the resistors are connected end to end in series with the battery. Here दो तरह के series circuits आप देखोगे. In one the circuits you are considering the DC source, and the circuits you are also considering the AC source. जब मैं लफ्ज बोलता हूँ DC source mean the circuit in which we are considering the battery or cell. जब AC source में आपके पास क्या होगा, AC source के अंदर you use the AC generators. ठीक है. उसमें अब एक और डिफरेंस AC generators DC source और AC source में फर्क ये है. In DC source the frequency is always equal to 0. लेकिन AC source के अंदर the signal have some value of the frequency. मसलन घरों में आपके पास जो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी आ रही है that is due to the AC source, और उस इलेक्ट्रिसिटी उस AC सोर्स की जो फ्रीक्वेंसी है that is a 60 हर्ट्ज. ठीक है. जबकि घरों में अगर आप कोई बैटरी इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं तो उसका फ्रीक्वेंसी जो है वो 0 होगा. So this is the series circuit, and what you see here, we see here in the series circuit the one end of the resistor is connected with the other end of the resistor. So here let me consider we have the three resistors of values R1, R2 and R3, and they all are connected in series with a battery. So now we see that how much current will flow through the circuit. So you also see here in the series circuit, this is also known as the closed loop circuit, या इसको हम single loop भी बोलते हैं. What is meant by closed loop or single loop? By closed loop or single loop mean that there is only one direction for the flow of current. So here we see that the current flow from the positive terminal to the negative terminal. This is what? This is the conventional current. This is not a real current. This is a conventional current है. क्योंकि ये पॉजिटिव से नेगेटिव की तरफ मूव करेगा। और व्हाई वी कंसीडर द कन्वेंशनल मीन as you know that the current charge flow from the higher potential to the lower potential. The positive terminal of battery have the higher is at the higher potential. So जिसकी वजह से हम इसको कहेंगे it will flow from the positive to negative. So now we see that in this fig how we can determine the voltage across each resistor. तो अगर आपका इस सर्किट में करंट I फ्लो कर रहा हो तो उस सूरत में by the Ohm's law the voltage across the resistance R1 will be equal to is represented by the V1 across R2 represented by the V2 and R3 represented by the V3. So we can write the voltage across R1 is written as V1 is equal to IR1, V2 is equal to the IR2 and V3 is equal to the IR3. ठीक हो गया जी? So from here we see that what will be the total voltage here. Here we can write V is equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3. क्योंकि आपके तीनों रेजिस्टेंस सीरीज में लगे हुए हैं, इसलिए हर एक के पास जो वोल्टेज होगी वो उनका सम जो है that is equal to the voltage of the battery. So we can write V is equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3 होगा. तो remember this formula. Remember this one, when number of resistors are connected in series, then the voltage drop across each resistor will be equal, the sum of voltage drop across each resistor will be equal to the applied voltage. हाँ जी, आप 5 मिनट के बाद अगली मीटिंग को ज्वाइन कर लीजिएगा।
Sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.